Are you ready to learn? Because my super experienced guests are ready to share some really valuable information. Make sure and listen all the way to the end to get help and support. So let's start with the best audio experience.
What's up, guys? Welcome to our show. Today we discuss about building relationship with web developers. I know how it's important because if you have no good relationship, it's hard to get high results. And I made many times such issue when developers don't understand what you wanna get. So you need to explain them. And if you have bad relationship, it's hard to get high quality service. I'm so excited to discuss this topic with Sara Moccand. How are you?
Thanks for having me. Yes, I'm fine, thanks.
Yeah, a big pleasure to get on my show to learn from you. I know this topic is very important for me, for my audience, because today almost all companies have websites, so they need to create content for their websites. Sometimes we need to have just simple content, sometimes hard content, or create tools, many different formats. So it's important to cooperate with web developers. Sara, before we start, just tell more about yourself, experience, background, and why you decided to share with us about this topic.
But I work for a web development agency. So obviously, like it's probably 4 years. Then I work at Leap, and or maybe more. I forgot. Oh my god! And so during the time in the process, I learned it a little bit the hard way initially because I was like, why they're not implementing my tickets? What's happening there? And then so during the time I learned, I became also more empathic towards developers, and that helped me like to build a sort of process how to become friend and obtain also results. So, yes.
Nice. Okay, can you tell what to do first? For example, if I don't understand how to explain to my web developers because it's not my background, I pay a lot of attention to marketing, but I need to get the complete product, and results depend on this development. Can you tell what to do first? So I need to take a few beers with web developers, or another way how to explain all this?
Let's say the truth, a few beers always help. Anyway, that helps you to have a better friend that will be a little bit more comprehensive with you. But let's say that you don't have the time for the few beers. So yes, there are some things. So first of all, is the understanding that web developers and you have the same goals. So that is something that already helps if you have the same goals. Most of the time you have the same goals. Then I understood then there is web developer language. No, in the sense that, for example, if you understand a bit of HTML, CSS, JavaScript helps, because then it is a little bit more at their level of at their kind of language. Okay, so that could help. If you do not at all, I would suggest that you learn at least a little bit. Not that you have to be a developer. I mean, because it's not that kind of job that we do now. So, but at least understand a bit, and then they are very focus oriented. Okay, because the time is limited, very limited. Resources are limited. So what they want to know is what is the problem. Mainly, what they want to know is what is the problem. It will be difficult. Like, what is the priority that you have on this problem? Because if you give them like 25 problems, then there are big chances, and you don't give priorities, then none of your 25 problems will be solved because they have like 100 other problems that are coming from UX, from client that invented something that they have to create. So priorities are very important. for example, if you develop a ticket for them, okay, now nowadays, most of people will work with tickets. So you have to be extremely clear. You have to give your priority. You have to give examples because they're still humans. So it's better if they have an example to understand what the heck are you saying exactly, so they can have an example and they can focus. And that is like how you structure it to make them understand. Now there is the second step now, because you want to make sure that they understand it. So especially for the tickets, then probably are the most important. You can always ask them to read them with you. Okay, that is something that I know that I do. Then I know that a lot of people don't do it because they're like, they don't have time, we don't have time, blah, blah, blah. Nobody have time. But again, if you have time for a beer, for example, you have time to read my ticket. So you can select the most important and then ask, is that ticket clear? Yes or no? And then develop with them. So, for example, if they use a Scrum method, there will be the refinement. Just go in the refinement, discuss with them. So these are probably, if I have to sum it up, one of the most important thing is to have it structured in a way they understand and follow up with them in different way, but you have to follow up with them to make sure that everything is clear and they know the new ticket exists.
Nice, nice. Love, love, love all these tips because I found that you have SEO background and I check out a few studies. Even on Twitter, I've seen a few tweets when SEO specialists share that web developers don't implement 60% of their tips. And you mentioned about priorities. Let's talk more about that. How to find these priorities in your SEO audit and tell web developers, please fix this first.
So yes, so what I do, for example, when I do an audit, as you say, I will mark the priority. So on what is based the priority? The priority, let's say, then I have, I can give an example. Let's say then I have an issue, and this issue maybe looks very important, but it affects two URLs, and I have a website with like millions of URLs. How I would prioritize that? I would not prioritize it at all. That for me, it's a no issue, no? Because it is also based on the logic, on how important is the issue and how many pages is affecting, for example. So if as I say, I work for a development company, so often I have website migration. Okay, so it's something obviously extremely important. Maybe I have like 10, almost 10 per year. And then when I do a website migration, I will obviously prioritize the redirects. Okay. So I will create a ticket for sure for everything. I want a sitemap in the new website. I will say everything that I want. I will also say, hey, be careful to core web vitals. So this kind of thing. Okay. So these are all important things. But then, for example, we have a limited budget because that is always the problem. At the end of the day, is always the budget, the story. So let's say then we have a limited budget, and then they're like, Sara, you have to choose between testing the redirects before go live and having a correction and spending, for example, 4 hours to correct some of the core web vitals. What will you choose? 100% my priority would be the redirect map to have it correct, and I would let like the rest for after the go live, for example. So I think then a lot priority is about common sense. I can hear you. You're on mute.
Oh, sorry for that. I'm trying to avoid this noise outside. So, thank you for saying this. Oh my God. I don't know. This guy decided I can show him. Yeah, you will know. Who can do it?
But fair enough. I mean, he has such a big garden around there. No, fair enough. Then he goes around, he cuts the grass.
Yeah.
Plus, it
So,
looks even fun what he's doing. So.
I told him, please go away. He doesn't want to listen to me because he has job, I have job, so we provide our jobs the best that we can. Okay, let's talk more about website migration. Can you provide a checklist what to do if you are going to migrate content from one website to another?
Yeah, so okay, I really have a checklist, obviously, a huge checklist, but as is more maybe in this case related to developers, what I would do. Okay, first thing then I do is then I create tickets of what I want on the new website. Okay, so a complete list of what I want. So as I said before, for example, is you want a sitemap, you want if it is a multilingual website, which is very common, for example, in Switzerland, because we speak several languages, so we are obliged to have like a multilingual website. So, for example, you will have the hreflang implemented, you will have the canonical, etc., etc. So you really create your tickets saying, hey, this is everything that I want. Now there is, so I mean, it depends how big is your the company that you're working with. Obviously, in my case, is pretty big. I mean, for Switzerland is one of the largest ones. So I have the possibility to say, hey, developers, do me. In the reality, we love this guy running around. So let's say then I will ask all these tickets to get implemented. They will do it in staging, because before going live, I have the chance, again, because it's a big development company, I have the chance to have a staging website where I can test everything before. Then there is like the part that you really do. Okay, the one that you really as an SEO do, and it's 100% your responsibility. So what normally I do, I will do a status of the situation. Okay, on the old website, I want to know how it is this old website. Okay, so I want to know I want to have the list of all the URLs. I want to know which URLs are ranking for what, which position those URLs have, those keywords have. I want to know which URLs bring traffic, organic traffic, obviously, which URL bring traffic. So I will try to do which URLs have backlinks, because we still need them now. So I will have like a status of the complete situation of the website. Then once I have that, okay, we start the redirect map. Okay, this is where there is this change of content in old and new website. So we will have like the old content with the old URL. What you will try to do is to map them in the most, how I can say, in the most closest possible way to the new website. So in the old website, I'm speaking about a guy driving and cutting the grass, for example. So in the new website, what I will do, I ideally I would like a page speaking about that, so then I can map one if it is possible. I mean, if sometimes it's just not possible, so you will go to the upper hierarchy. But if it is possible, and if it is an important page, I will insist that they have it also in the new website. Then we do the redirect map. With the time, I learned that it is better to ask the client to do it. So I book the time of the client, I oblige them, and I am behind their back. Let's be honest. I'm like, did you do it? Did you do it? Did you do it? And then I fix like regular meeting to make sure that they do it. If they have a problem, I'm there to help them to figure out what is the best page to redirect. So the client helped me create this redirection map. So from the old URL to the new URL. And then we test it. And then I test everything with the developers before they go live. I would say 50% of the time it fails. I know it looks huge, but it fails. For some X, Y, Y reason, it fails. So then you're obliged to fix it. And then when you fix it, when you go live, you will have less problem than you have it if you didn't test it. So you test everything before they go live. So you test your redirect map. You test also the tickets, no? Because we said then we wrote the tickets before for the developers. And then we test it, and then we go live and we pray a bit.
Nice, awesome. Okay, Sara, I have the question about priorities. Can you tell how you choose priorities? For example, okay, if I open Google Search Console or Screaming Frog or many other well-known tools, Ahrefs, SEMrush, and I usually get a bunch of errors, a lot of things to fix. And web developers might come fix everything because probably it depends on CRM, on content. So can you tell how to choose priorities that it's a must fix? That you need to do to rank your website, or and how to choose that it's not important, or for example, because you can't get 100% on page speed inside, to this green zone. It depends on content, but sometimes we don't need it. So tell about your priorities.
Yes. So, okay. So speaking, to be honest, okay, I will be honest 100%. I think that there will be half of the SEO that will scream on me. But let's say that on my list of priority, like Core Web Vital or having a very fast website often is not on the top. Okay. At the beginning, when the Core Web Vital were going live, I have worked crazily with developers, like to have a super score on all the website. We have spent months, and the clients have spent so much money on that, because you need to fix it, no? At least that is what we were thinking, no? And then that money that they spend on that could have been spent on other more important things, but you learn it when you go live. Now, when they went live, you learn that. I've learned it. Maybe not for all the website, but for most of the websites. So for me, it's always a matter: how much budget do I have? So I normally know how much budget do I have for the year. So if it is a very limited budget, average budget, a party budget, because that makes a big difference on the priorities. So if we say then we have a very limited budget, and I give you a price to make you understand, and I know then each hour of work of a developer, it's like almost 200 euro, let's say. It's a little bit less, but it's in that range. Okay, I know then it costs that. And my budget, for example, is 5,000. Okay, so that start a little bit to be not so much, depending on the website how big it is. So okay, so they are, for example, I know then the Search Console, as you say, it will help me. Okay, why? Because I already have a bunch of URLs. I can see, okay, there is something blocking. For example, okay, so if I know then a little bit by when you work on a website for some time, then you start observing. You don't need anymore to audit all the time, start observing. And if I realize like a session is blocked, like a session is not ranking, why? Okay. So in that case, yes, for example, the Google Search Console can help me because it will be faster. So priority number one, understand why it's blocking. Okay. So why we are not indexing this session, for example. So I would say overall priority, if there is something not indexed, that is like priority number one. Focus on why it's not indexed and solve it. At the moment, for example, I have a website that lost a lot of traffic. And that, I mean, you need to audit. So priority auditing in that case, and inside the audit, I started to realize, okay, there are a lot of URLs that Google define as we are the canonical, but Google select another canonical. When the number is crazy compared to the number URLs per country, because in this case was per country, then I know this is a high priority. Okay. So again, it's really, I think the priorities comes a bit up with experience, and to help define the priorities is still the number, how many URLs are impacted by that, and what is the consequence of that. If I have like 300 URLs that are impacted by the core web vitals, then are not very good, and I have 50 URLs that are impacted, then will not get indexed. No, clearly I will choose the 50 URL that are not get indexed, because that is priority compared to core web vitals. So there are two things, like the number and what is the consequence of that.
Awesome. Yeah, interesting. I think he finally broke the car. It's a good event for me.
I can't hear him anymore. I'm missing him.
Yeah, but he's trying to fix, so we'll see.
Let's go.
I hope he can't to do this for 20 minutes, but he's working fast right now. He fixed. No way. Okay, let's go ahead. Yeah, he's much faster than I felt about that. Okay, let's talk about, you mentioned a few times about money. If you have limited budget, if you have a strong budget, can you tell how the budget can impact to web development? So, for example, if we have strict budget, we can't implement everything, so we need to choose priorities. Or if we have big budget, good budget, to hire great web developers, many insights about the budget, how to choose the right budget. Of course, almost all companies have limited budget, except Google, Amazon, many others. But other companies usually limit. Yeah, that's okay. That's normal. But how do I know that my budget is enough?
So this is something that now I started doing, because it's true that I was not extremely good in that. I thought, for example, I have enough budget, and then I was like, I still have 6 months to go and I don't have enough budget, or the opposite. So one thing that now I really started doing is first sit down with the marketing expert inside the company, then hire or work with the development company that I do. Because it's an agency, so clients are external. So I sit normally with their marketing person. I learn about their strategy, okay? Because this is where I was failing. So I was maybe going in my imagination of what they wanted and not asking them what they wanted really. So at the beginning of the year, I align with their marketing team, with their marketing manager, and I learn which are their priorities. Then when I understand what are their priorities, for example, most of the companies will say, hey, we want to improve the ranking, or we want to improve the traffic or the conversion on this this type of pages or on this other type of pages. So they normally have very fixed goal. Okay. So when they have fixed goal, you can already do the status of, for example, a section of the website. Okay, where are we at the moment? Where they want to arrive? And then you do a projection, and then you can say, okay, this is a realistic or no, and then how much work it will ask that. So the problem of doing all this is then you ask time and money. But so this it was also why at the beginning I was not doing it so much. But then I realized, okay, it's important. Let's do it. Invest time in that, and then we can better calculate the budget.
Nice. Okay, Sarah, I have the question about your SEO background. Can you tell how to choose the right strategy in SEO? Because many topics, many keywords are overwhelmed, overpriced. Big companies can occupy them. Especially, I see when webmasters chase high volume keywords, competing with Wikipedia, but these keywords don't sell. It's the wrong strategy, and the price for getting these keywords, it costs a lot. So can you tell your methods how to find the right strategy? For example, how do I know that these keywords will sell my products, will cover my buying persona, touch my sales funnel? And you mentioned about budget, but let's talk about the right budget for SEO services. For example, if I know, how do I know that this budget enough to promote specific keywords that I choose for my content plan?
So SEO alone doesn't do much. So in the reality, there is the part where you work with the content team, for example. So then there is also there is your work, but in the budget there have to be also the work of the content team. So all it's like you can do several things. So or you do an audit, and in that case, okay, it's not related to the strategy then they give you. You do your audit, and then you set your priority, and then, for example, you say, okay, this will be developer work, so I will work with the developer this amount of time and it will cost that. And then there is really I want to improve this part of the website. When you decide I want to improve this part of the website because they told you that, then there is two things then can get impacted. One is the technical side. So anyway, you need to do a small, not a big technical audit, because normally in this case you don't need a big technical audit, but you need at least a little bit to understand, okay, technically is this working, yes or no? Technically they have internal linkings, yes or no? Are they structuring well this part of the website, yes or no? So you do yourself the right question, I would say. And then there is, okay, now I see this page, I see how it is used. For example, in this case, you can use the entity, you can use the Google NLP API to try to check, okay, what Google understand out of this page, how the entity are used, is understandable, yes or no? And then you know, okay, I will need content in there. Okay, I will provide the information, the keyword information, the entity information to the content team, and I will say, guys, make sense out of this. And they will help, no? Because I know how to structure, how to put together, but then it will be really the content team then have this this magic, the magic at the end, they make the difference. So tell me,
go ahead.
So it will also depend a lot on how many people or stakeholders or will be involved in the process to reach the goal that the client wants.
Okay, Mohammed is asking about the role of communication for building a long-term relationship. I think when I see you, I see a human being with positive mindset. always smiling, always, I can feel this positive mindset. I think it's the number one. Please list number two, number three, how to build a long-term relationship with web developers.
Yes. So in the reality, each web developers or not, they have a specific way that they like to communicate. Okay. So even us, I say the truth, I am a disaster with emails. I am a disaster, really. My emails, I read them twice per week because I give priority to everything else. But Slack, I answer in a jiffy. Okay, Slack, you Slack me. Whatever I'm doing, I will Slack you back. Okay, so web developers have exactly the same thing. So you have to know how they like to communicate. Probably is the tool of the company, or maybe they have their own tool. Some like emails, some just want a phone call. Because they don't want to they don't even know what you're speaking about. You're just making them waste their time if they have to read the email, so they just want a phone call. Some like me will like Slack. So the number two is to know how they want to communicate, and writing the Jira tickets, for example, if you use Jira, or maybe a smaller company will use Trello, whatever, it's not enough. To be honest, that is not enough. Nobody cares. You write it, it's fantastic, but now you need the second step, the third step, I would say, then is communicating what you're doing. And that I think then is quite important, is really to know how they like to communicate as a person.
Yeah, nice. Okay, Sara, I have the question about your experience. Let's imagine you started from scratch with no skills, knowledge, anything. You just started from scratch. What will you do today to learn more about building relationships with web developers?
I started from scratch, no, some years ago. So, so what I did, I took some front-end classes. I'm thinking, all the process. What did I do exactly? So I took front-end classes to be more aligned. I drank a lot of coffees with developers to you said beers or coffees, whatever you want, go chuck on the shoulder and speak to them, and try to figure out what it is bothering them, because sometimes they are really, they're really stressed. They have 100 people coming from all the side telling them what they need. Okay, there is normally, so for example, in a Scrum system, you will have a product owner, then theoretically go by them and say, hey, you have to do this, you have your sprint, you do this during your sprint. Okay, that is the ideal world. In the real world, even other dev will ask for help, will contact them. It's a mess. They're in the middle of the mess. So, so I think then a bit try to be, as I said at the beginning, empathic. Try to figure out, okay, so it's a good moment for me to ask, or it is not. You can always ask, can I ask you something? Is a good moment? Do you want me to fix a meeting for tomorrow? Or like, if it is super urgent, you would say, it would be super urgent. Could I ask you now? But if really you can't, could we do it tomorrow? So respect a bit their space and their mind. And yeah, so I think then this was a little bit my steps. It was really like learn front end. Again, I'm not a front ender, and it was really difficult for me, that class. It was a nightmare. I did it on Audacity, and I would have like nobody to do that as I did it. And then really learn how they like to communicate. And then when you learn, like then, for example, Slack, write could we speak now? Could I add an appointment for tomorrow? Because I would like to speak about this. And when you finish, there is something inside the company, and there is also that in the Women in Tech community. There is the Slack. There is Slack channels. Then there is a thank you channel. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So where you can say, hey, thank you so much for helping me out. So I don't know if you have developers, then calls Dominic, whatever. You can write in this Czech channel. Okay, you can write, thank you so much, Dominic, and that also creates a relationship. Not because it's public. You are thanking the person publicly, and and you recognize the effort that they did. They will also recognize your effort.
Yeah, nice, awesome. Love it, Sarah. It's a big pleasure to get on the show, to learn from you. I get your energy, positive mindset. I can feel it. Thanks a lot. Tell our audience the best way how to reach out to you, how to learn more about you, how to follow you.
So I am on LinkedIn, and you can find me. My name is Sara Moccand. You can write like Sara Moccand-Sayegh. Okay, it's a little bit difficult, but you will see it in the podcast. So I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter. And if you have any question, do not hesitate to write to me, and I always reply.
Okay, guys, you can find the links to Sara LinkedIn profile in the description below. Listen to us on Apple, Google, Spotify. Thanks again for your time. A big pleasure. Love it. Love all your valuable insights. Guys, you need to follow Sara because you can see a lot of value. Okay, love you. See you.
Thank you so much.